And what's up? What's up? Welcome in GC Live. I am Wes Mitchell. He is Chris Clark. Just getting a text back from Colin Taylor, who will be joining us in about 5 minutes. Colin has safely landed and gotten settled in Texas. And so Colin will be joining us. All I have to say, Chris, is that I hope the technology used for Texas Wi-Fi is better than their plan for getting the Longhorn Network out to a variety of people, because I had planned to come on here. I feel like I'm not some tech genius, but I feel like I at least am a fairly tech savvy person. So my entire plan was to start the show off and be like, all right, guys, here is a foolproof way to watch the 3 games this weekend. And what I realize is either that I've gotten older than I thought, or that it is very, very difficult to get the stupid Longhorn Network. So I've determined that the University of Texas is so bad at athletics that they don't want anyone to actually watch on their network. So we'll see. For everybody who is listening, I would encourage you, go ahead, test this out before the game tonight, because I've talked to a lot of people, friends of mine that won't watch the game, people on our message boards, and a lot of people are assuming because they see it pop up on Watch ESPN that they're going to have access. That's not necessarily the case. Go ahead, test it out, hit the live button, try to watch what's on there now and see if you have it, because from what I can tell, first of all, I've seen this going around, oh, get ESPN Plus. No, do not subscribe to ESPN Plus unless you actually want to subscribe to ESPN Plus. That does not get you the Longhorn Network. And just because you have the Watch ESPN app, or now the ESPN app it's called, that does not automatically mean you have the Longhorn Network. It is specifically about if your TV provider, be that cable, satellite, or streaming service, whether you have Longhorn Network available and whether you have it in your package. So Hulu, you're out. YouTube TV, you're out. Some people with Spectrum, depending on where they live and what package they have, you might be in. Some people with satellite, you might be in. You're going to have to check and see. So use your login on ESPN with your service and see if it works or not. I will say this. Sling TV plus their sports package. You have to add the extra sports package. You should be able to then use that, log in on the ESPN app. You should be able to watch. Now, there's a caveat. Some people have said they've been able to find a 3-day free trial. I think if you use your Fire Stick, download Sling, go on there, supposedly it'll give you a 3-day trial. I did have one person on Gamecock Central, Chris, who said that Longhorn Network was not available in the sports package when they did the free trial. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Hopefully that's wrong, but that's just a warning. I don't want anyone to think that I'm giving them a definite option to watch the games tonight. So all I'm saying, trial and error before the game, or you're going to be sitting there maybe wanting to watch the game. Maybe you got a drink in hand. Maybe you're excited and you click and it's going to pop up an error message and say, you can't watch our stupid network.
Well, my head hurts. And that was quite the intro to the show. No, it is. I don't know if it's Texas doesn't want people to watch, or maybe they're so.
No, that's it.
You think I said maybe they're so, like, you know how Texas sort of has this like we're better than everybody type of thing. Maybe that's it. Maybe they only want Texans to watch it. Now, you mentioned YouTube TV when you said that it's not included. I knew that. I actually use YouTube TV right now. Give us this clarification. Does that mean you can add it on as a pet? You can't even add on you have zero access to Longhorn Network, even if you paid $1 million for it. If you want it.
Yes, you are. That's just like Braves baseball right now, though. If you have YouTube TV or Hulu, you can't watch Fox Sports because Sinclair Broadcasting are money-hungry losers. So, yes, right. Sling TV with the sports package. You can't just get the orange or the blue or whatever they call their packages. You have to add the sports package. Maybe you can get a 3-day free trial there and then cancel it before Sunday is over.
I know that this has been difficult on you, Wes, and we the people appreciate your research. You did promise a tutorial, so I'm gonna need you to continue working on it.
I don't want to lie and say, "Hey, do this," and you'll definitely be able to watch the game. I can't make that promise, Chris. But
I it's the Longhorn Network's fault. There's no reason it should be like this. So we do appreciate your efforts. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and the 3-day free trial on Sling TV is only if you've never even thought about getting their network before. You know what I mean? Like if you've logged in at some point, or if the thought has crossed your mind, they'll be like, "No, you're not a new subscriber." So anyway. Hey, this show is brought to you by Clint Hammond of Mortgage Network. He is the man. He will not leave you hanging like the Longhorn Network. He will take care of you. He will answer your phone calls. He will answer your emails. ClintHammond.com, 803-771-6933. Clint is the man. If you want a house, we cannot guarantee when you get that house that you'll be able to watch the Longhorn Network inside the house, but we can promise you that you'll have a lower rate if you refinance right now, and we can promise you that you'll be taken care of by Clint Hammond. I'm fired up today, Chris. I'm in a great mood. It is a beautiful day in Columbia. Even if you can't tell, I am in a great mood, even though the Longhorn Network sucks. It's a beautiful day outside, and I'm excited for this series, man, because hopefully if there's one positive thing that could ever come from everything that's happened, with COVID and then sports, maybe we'll get some more matchups like this in the future, because programs will see, hey, this is fun. This is cool to give our fans something that they can at least think about watching, even if they can't actually watch it. Now, somebody did ask me, we got to go out to Colin. Colin's texted me like, "Dude, shut up. I'm ready to come on." But somebody asked me, is that something that could be negotiated in the contract in the future? I don't know the answer to how all that works, but you would think maybe in the future, especially if enough of you complain about it, maybe, you worked out something where it's just simulcast on Longhorn Network and SEC Network Plus, because guess what? They're all owned by ESPN. So make it happen. Make it work. All right. We're going to get Colin in here in a second. What's up to everybody in the chat? Hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all are in a great mood. Colin's going to be in. We'll maybe talk a little men's basketball, but I don't want to really bring down the vibe. I think everybody's excited about this. Chris is most excited I've seen people about Carolina baseball.
Yeah.
In a long time. And it gets me pumped up. I like when the fan base is pumped up. Big come from behind win on Wednesday. I said that it would almost, not that it would lose its luster, but it would be cool if South Carolina went into this big series still undefeated.
Yeah.
For a while, it looked like that was not going to be the case. That felt like just a classic letdown midweek type game on Wednesday. South Carolina found a way, helped out a little bit by Simon Graff, the Citadel pitcher, who got a little too jazzed up coming off the mound. That was an issue. Pumped up the Gamecock dugout. And then South Carolina, as I feel like you could just feel it out in the ether that it was about to happen. You do that. You show up the other dugout. Far be it for me to say you can't be pumped up coming off the mound, but you don't have to yell at the other dugout, drop maybe what appeared to be some F-bombs at them, and sort of tug on Superman's cape. That's not a good plan when you're beating your in-state big brother in a sport late in the game. So, all right, we're going to go out to Colin Taylor. Colin is doing the classic in the car segment here. Colin, have you eaten some barbecue yet? That's what I want to know.
Not yet. I'm in the parking lot of a Mexican restaurant at the moment, and there's some tacos that are going to be waiting for me as soon as we finish this up.
Is it Tex-Mex?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Like what I've played so far.
Have you already ordered the tacos, or you're going to?
I have not ordered the tacos yet, but the tacos
okay.
To me. Yeah, we don't have to go that fast, but yeah, tacos are soon after this. We're going to be devouring some hopefully good Tex-Mex food.
Okay, because I was about to be like, okay, we can't We can't let Colin's tacos get cold, man. That would be just mean. How is Texas treating you so far? And is this your first time in Texas?
This is my first time in Austin, for sure. Been a couple times to College Station. So far, so good. Touched down about probably about an hour ago, and got Texas food and getting ready to thing up, and got about 6 hours until first pitch, and should be, I mean, absolutely amazing series, and I'm excited to be here and get it.
Colin, ready to get to the Texas series, but before you came on, prompted by some of the comments, I think Wes was talking about the Citadel game, right? We don't need to really dwell on that one. We watched it, unless you have some follow-ups, Wes. But I did want to hit on the pitcher situation, the big controversy. Give us the play-by-play. What exactly happened? What did you see there? Because a lot of people, myself included, only sort of saw the social clip of the ground out coming out. But what did you see there, and how did South Carolina react aside from putting up a bunch of runs summarily?
Yeah. So Andrew Eyster hits a ball that first of all, the pitcher walked 2 guys before that. So he had walked 2 guys in the inning. Andrew Eyster hits a ball that Kingston thought was foul, grounds out to the pitcher. You see the social media reaction, the guy going absolutely viral, screaming obscenities into the South Carolina dugout, going just absolutely ballistic. And it was more of a dumbfoundedness from South Carolina's dugout. Like, yeah, big moment of the game, but dude, it's the 7th inning. Like, what are we doing here, man? And you saw what happened soon after. They go out and pitch a clean 7th, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 it's 11-6, and they didn't look back.
Fun moment, I think, for everyone. You could almost, I don't know. I just had a gut feeling after that happened. I was like, South Carolina's going to win this game. You do not tempt the baseball gods like that. Just had a feeling something stupid was going to happen on the Citadel side, and that it would end up going Carolina's way. So they roll into this series, obviously undefeated. Obviously, Colin, some things South Carolina, frankly, still going to have to work on and improve on and sharpen up on. Competition gets a little bit greater here, but what's the vibe been like? Obviously, there's not a lot of in-person stuff still, but you've done the Zoom previews this week. I saw South Carolina had the Wes Clark and Brady Allen show on their Instagram this week. Just from our perspective, this feels like a big-time series. Are you getting that from the players as well? I know every game is the same. It's blah, 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 coach speak. But how excited do you think that dugout is to go out here and really face a team that South Carolina just has not faced in the regular season, and that is a true traditional power?
Yeah, I mean, they're excited. I mean, this is everybody that I've talked to, everyone, this is why you come to South Carolina. You come here to play in big-time series against these kinds of programs, whether that's in non-conference play, whether that's in the postseason or the College World Series. This is why you want to play at South Carolina in the SEC. I mean, they're excited. I'm excited. The fan base is excited. This feels like we're getting ready to go watch a super regional almost. I mean, it's insane just how the fanfare around it. We're in week 4 of the season, and it's so exciting to see, and it's frankly something I haven't seen in South Carolina, because they've never had non-conference outside of Clemson, never had a non-conference series quite like this one.
Tell us, Colin, a little bit about the pitching matchup, starting with tonight, but if you can just run down the whole sort of weekend matchup there. Obviously, tonight is the marquee with Thomas Farr, and then the projected first-round pick from Texas and Ty Madden, who struck out 14 last week against Houston. Tell us a little bit about those guys and sort of break that down, those matchups.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Saturday and Sunday guys for Texas. They're good. They're good pitchers. Don't like to give up a lot of extra base hits. They strike out a bunch of guys, but tonight's the big one. You have Ty Madden, who's started the season so well. I mean, legitimate first-round prospect, fastball into the mid to upper 90s against Thomas Farr, who is widely thought one of the better arms in the SEC. A guy that has a chance to play his way into the early top 5 rounds of the MLB draft. Another guy that's going to ratchet his fastball up, and guys that love to just get after it and compete. I mean, they have talent, but these are just 2 dudes that love to compete and just get after it, and that's what I'm excited to see is which one of these guys blinks first. And it's setting up to be a really good one tonight. I hope it stays that way and nothing changes that, or if one team knocks the other guy around. But I'm really excited to see this group because it's 2 just power, fireball pitchers with good stuff outside of that are just going to go out there and compete, inning after inning, and that excites me as a college baseball fan.
Speaking of that, Colin, you being a college baseball fan, I thought all things considered, even with the measures that are in place, I thought the atmosphere on Wednesday was outstanding. I thought the atmosphere in the 2 South Carolina Clemson games were really good considering everything that was in place. I know that Texas as a state is about as open of a state as there is, in the United States right now. What is the word there? Has the University of Texas quickly followed suit, or are they still a little more reserved? What do you expect from the atmosphere today when you throw in the fact of whatever their measures are currently as far as COVID and the University of Texas?
Yeah, I believe there's still some attendance limitations in place. I believe the city of Austin still has a mask mandate, if I'm not mistaken. So it won't be the capacity crowd that it would have been if this was a normal year, but I'm still expecting. This is a fan base. Texas's fan base loves baseball. They're going to be there. They understand what this rivalry is, and it feels like a rivalry almost. They understand these 2 programs mean, and just the level of, I guess, reverence that they hold, the stature they hold in college baseball. So I'm expecting a pretty raucous atmosphere, and even though it's not going to be a 100% capacity crowd.
Colin, one offensive storyline for the Gamecocks I wanted you to hit on was, Wes Clark obviously has cooled down some, which you had to anticipate that. He was on pace for, I can't remember the stat you put out, 60 home runs, 80 home runs, something like that. At one point, we knew that wouldn't hold. But at one point, I think during the Citadel game, 2 for his last 15 or something like that. What have you seen from Wes Clark? Is it just maybe facing a particular kind of pitching? Is it just typical cooling down from a super, super sizzling hot start? What have you seen? And can he get back on track? Is this more of his speed with some of these power arms coming up?
Yeah, I think more of his speed. I think it's just a combination of everything. Law of averages kicks in baseball at some point. Guys tend to cool off after starting the year. I mean, the way Wes Clark did. Pitchers are pitching to him a little differently now that they've got a scouting report on him, so it's up to him to adjust. And he's mentioned working on that. He's trying some new things out at the plate. He had the advantage of being able to do that against a Mercer or a Citadel, or against the Citadel. So he's testing a few things out. Power. I mean, going up against the power arm's probably more his speed. I mean, dude loves to hunt fastballs, so Ty Madden's going to throw him tonight, especially. So. Yeah, I think it's a thing of everything, and it's up to Wes to adjust and make sure that pitchers can't pitch him one way. They got to, they have to throw strikes to him.
Keeping it right there, Colin, as you sort of have looked at these 2 teams, have looked at this series, sort of broken it down. I know you've got by the way, there's a preview on GamecockCentral.com if you are a subscriber. Or if you're not a subscriber, you can actually go check that out on our front page right now. Also has been emailed out to our mailing list this morning as well. But Colin, you had some scouting Texas stuff in here. You had an injury update in here. You had some other thoughts. Give us some thoughts on the actual matchup in the terms of some keys for you. What are the keys for South Carolina? What are the keys for Texas? As in, like, hey, if these 3 things happen, it's probably going to swing this series one way or the other.
Yeah, if these are 2 teams that love to get after it on the mound. I mean, these are 2 really good pitching staffs. So it's just going to be a matter of which group of hitters can capitalize on the mistakes the most. That's the biggest thing is if you're a hitter and you come up with a guy on third, can you get a ball to the outfield to score him? I think runs are going to be at a premium. And then it's just a matter of, can you get runs when you need them? Can you get a big time hit late in games? And South Carolina's proven that this year. So that's a big one. And then if South Carolina starters can go deep and not walk guys, then I think the Gamecocks have a pretty good chance of going out of there with at least 2 out of 3.
Colin, one more from me, man. So, because I know the tacos are calling your name inside. A quick sort of a double parter. Beham GC asks, does Joe Satterfield get the start tonight? He's been on fire. And then also, I want to loop that into my question, and it is pulling from the piece that Wes mentioned earlier, and that is, tell us a little bit about some of the possible hitting moves, some of the platooning that we may see this weekend based on, lefty-righty matchups of pitchers.
Yeah. It's going to depend on Heinrich's injury. I think Satterfield gets the start tonight. He's earned it, just the way he swung the bat over the last couple games. Platooning, you might see Wes Clark get catcher, but if they want to give Colin Burgess a day off, but my guess is Colin Burgess is going to start there. And the real question is who do they put in left field? How do they structure their outfield? Josiah Seitler's a lefty bat that's been swinging it pretty well, and you could put Raylan Wimmer at second if you wanted to, Satterfield at third if you want to take Brennan Malone out, who's struggled a little bit, but and then move Allen to center and Seitler to left. That way you get some left-handedness into your lineup, and obviously Satterfield's a switch hitter. So those are the things that I'm looking for tonight, and it's going to be exciting. I'm very excited to see what this group of hitters can do against Madden and the rest of that Texas pitching staff.
Yeah, and I was kind of going to go the same direction with that, Colin. Do you sort of see this being a lineup that at certain spots is going to constantly just sort of depend on matchups and who's playing the best? I think we've started to see some depth. We knew there was pitching depth, but I think we've seen some depth in other spots on this team. And, dude, I look at Satterfield, and this guy to me is probably one of those dudes that comes around and probably isn't the most talked about prospect, probably doesn't even have the best tools, but you just look at him, you're like, man, if South Carolina goes deep this year, that guy is probably going to have something to do with it because he can play so many spots. He just finds a way to get on base. He has good at bats, and you sort of throw him in the mix with like you said, you got a guy like Brennan Malone, who I've always heard is like extremely talented. Came in pretty highly regarded as a hitter. He's scuffled, but showing flashes at times. And you're probably, I imagine, Josiah Seitler looks like a different guy, I feel like, compared to when he first got here. So what have you thought just about all those guys sort of at times showing exactly what they can do and what that's going to mean for this team as things sort of go on? And I'm giving you a super long question and thought here, but how the shortstop enter the mix at some point as being a spot that could see any rotation if they don't get better production out of that spot at the plate?
Starting with shortstop, Khalil's probably that guy until, he's got a decently long leash just because he's kind of earned it from the defensive side of things. But if he continues to scuffle the way he is for an extended period of time, then absolutely you have to look at what's next to Michael Robinson's. The backup there, and a little bit better of a hitter, but not as good defensively, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Brennan Malone is really talented. It's just a group of guys that just do a lot of different things. It's not all power. It's not all speed. It's not all, hitting for contact. It's a group of guys that you look up and down the lineup, and, again, they're not the 27 Yankees. They're not going to go out and score 15 runs a game or average even 10, but a group of guys that if you need to win a game with speed, you have guys that can do that. If you need to win a game with power, they've shown they can do that too. So it's a group. It's still a work in progress. I'd like to see strikeout numbers go down a little bit, and left on base go down a little bit. They've left a lot of runners on, but there's some tools there. There's some versatility there that gives this team a pretty well-rounded offense when everything goes the way it's supposed to be.
Chris, you said you're done, or you got anything else, bud?
I think I'm good, man. I appreciate the time, Colin. Great stuff.
Yeah, appreciate you, Colin. I want to throw one more thing at you, and I promise we're going to let you go and let you go eat, man. And I rarely will say anything too negative, just, about a college kid. But I'm saying this because following it with a big positive. Talk to me a little bit about Braylon Wimmer and his sort of upside within this program as he gets more and more experience, because I think the biggest compliment you can throw somebody is to say that there were times early in the game Wednesday that Wimmer looked 100% lost, like just not himself, not comfortable, some really bad at bats. But within the same game, when I see an athlete throw that aside, say, hey, everybody's had a bad stretch of game, I'm not going to let that affect my next at bat, and comes up with a huge hit late in the game. To me, that says something about him as a talent, but says something about him as a competitor as well. And he's a guy that's now also proved he can play the outfield, can play second base. How talented is this kid, as far as you being a guy that's followed him, obviously longer than most of us, and what is his upside as he continues to play?
Yeah, I mean, his upside's insane. I think his upside. I think it's a group of guys. It's just, he's so good at a lot of different things. Kingston's called him a 5-tool player. Kingston's called him a guy that they think can develop into one of the premier defenders and guys in the SEC, and has shown some growing pains. I think people forget he only played in 16 games. He's 16 games into his college career at the start of the season. He's young, came in as a shortstop, but with that frame and the ability to, what we call a projectable frame in baseball, that you can put some weight on, and all of a sudden he turns into a really good center fielder for you that can hit for some power, and it also gives you, a 6'4" in the 60-yard dash, which is impressive. So they really like his upside, and I think he's only going to get better as he goes on, because, like you said, I mean, he looked really bad to start that Citadel game, and then all of a sudden comes up with a huge double, tacks an early pitch in the zone, and it can show you flashes of that, which is why he's in the lineup, because they like him that much.
No doubt, Colin. Appreciate it, man. Great stuff. Again, tonight, 7:30, first pitch. Tomorrow, 3:30. That's a new time, by the way. So make sure to take note of that. Sunday, noon Eastern, on the Longhorn Network, whether you can get it or not. Again, as we said, good luck finding it. But if you can't, you can listen on the radio, and you can follow along with Colin on GamecockCentral.com. Colin, we appreciate the time. We look forward to the coverage, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks,
All right, dude. Enjoy the tacos.
Yep, appreciate it.
Yeah, don't eat too much. That's Collyn Taylor, Gamecock baseball, beat writer for Gamecock Central, and football and basketball. Does a little bit of everything. I was going to get into a little bit of men's basketball. The season did end yesterday, but Collyn seemed to be in such a good mood, and I know he wanted his tacos, and I just didn't know if I wanted to bring the mood of the show down. I think everybody is pumped. Maybe at the end of the show, maybe if the chat wants to talk about that a little bit, we'll get into it. But it's Free for All Friday, so whatever it is, if y'all want to drive the conversation, if anybody does have any questions, go ahead and throw them in. I don't know how long the show will go today, but some interesting stuff, as always, from Colin Taylor. And, I mean, I just keep going back to this thought, Chris, is that, A, this is going to be fun, and B, I was almost going to ask him one of those questions that I hate when I'm on radio shows that they ask me, but I decided against it. When they ask you a question you have no way of actually knowing the answer to. So then you just – you know what I'm talking about? And then you just make something up. I was going to ask him, does this pave the way for series like this to become more commonplace? Like, is there a chance that Texas and South Carolina are both like, man, that's really cool. Let's make this into a every other year rivalry. Let's try to make this something that doesn't just happen, once in, I guess, ever in modern day times and during the regular season. So there's no answer to that, but it would be cool, Chris, if this became a more common thing. Granted, South Carolina plays such a tough SEC schedule anyway. Maybe you don't want to add a bunch of games you could lose, but for the fans, and I think even for the team, though, man, this is a chance to go ahead and see this level of pitching before you have to face it with your conference record on the line.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. And the players, I mean, you can just hear Colin with what he's gathered from the players and everybody around the program. They're super excited about this. And I would imagine, we aren't as close, obviously, to the Texas situation with what they think about it, but I'm sure they're fired up about it too, to be able to, have the chance to measure up and play a team like South Carolina that's also a really good ball club from what they've shown this year. And so it's a really compelling matchup. And I think, you see this in other sports too. I mean, football, Wes, which is what we cover much more on a day-to-day basis, we get questions all the time about, hey, when is South Carolina going to play, such and such marquee out-of-conference opponent, whether it's a Texas, for instance, in football, or, maybe in Oklahoma or somebody like that. And I think it's similar to what you said on baseball is, yeah, that is cool. Now there's fewer games in football. So if you're thinking about, are you going to, are you playing some marquee team that's really good? You take an L, that's one of your 12 games, during the regular season. So it's a little different in baseball, obviously, but with football, you factor in SEC schedule in football, and then whatever you've got in the non-conference already, which, by the way, always includes Clemson every year for South Carolina. And that traditionally has been a tough game as of late. So, I think it is a neat idea. You're right. Probably can't answer the question, but it is something cool to think about. And I personally think it would be a pretty cool thing to see more big-time out-of-conference matchups like this, just to change it up.
Beham says, a word I will not say, we play Vanderbilt, Arkansas, the Braves, Mississippi, etc. every year. Well, and again, you won't, if Carolina played the Braves, none of us will be able to watch it because Fox Sports South is not on our networks anymore. But that must be why I missed their series with the Braves. But I would love to see, again, is it something where you just rotate a different power team on? Is it something, like Dawn Staley and the women's basketball program, where they've gotten UConn, where this has been a thing that's happened very often now? You switch them off, go home and home. Do you do something like that with Texas? To me, that would be fun. Does it lose some of its luster over time? Right now it's new because it has not happened before. Yep. Would it lose its luster? I don't know, but I think it'd be fun. For one, it'd be fun to make, if you're South Carolina, to make Texas return the trip out here. South Carolina's going out there right now. It'd be fun to see them come out and do that. All right, so Clay wants to know, I guess we will talk a little basketball, or at least answer the question. Clay wants to know, where are the odds South Carolina and Frank Martin part ways this weekend? If they do part ways, what coaches would you expect to be on the list for Tanner to interview? I'm reading the question, Clay, even though, because I didn't want to just ignore it, even though I don't know if there's an answer to it yet, especially the second part. I tend to think it's hard to say if something were to happen, who then South Carolina would turn around and pursue. It's too early to know that. I tend to also think there are a lot of different little things at play here when it comes to Frank Martin and his future. I would not expect, I think this is obvious, but it needs to be said. Frank Martin only has 2 years left on his contract. Generally, coaches want to be extended at that point because they want 4 years most of the time to be on their contract. Well, there's not going to be an extension. I think it's just common sense. There's not going to be an extension to Frank Martin at this point. So what happens next? We've all seen and heard the rumors about other schools being interested in Frank Martin. Is there a scenario here where both sides just part ways and Frank Martin goes to another school? Frank Martin has obviously publicly said, I want to be at South Carolina if they want me here. So to try to answer your question, Clay, I don't think there's going to be a Friday afternoon release tonight saying, or this afternoon saying South Carolina and Frank Martin have parted ways. I don't anticipate that right now. But could this thing go any number of ways? I think absolutely. I just don't know if anybody knows because there are so many different variables at play here. what way it will go. South Carolina, obviously, if they were to entertain just straight up moving on, you're talking about a $6 million plus buyout. That's a big number in 2021 COVID year when you've already bought out your head football coach. So we'll see. Obviously, best case scenario for all sides, Chris, is that they can come to an agreement where everybody agrees about the best move moving forward. Because it's a complicated situation, man. Obviously, this season has not gone the way anybody over there wanted it to, the way any Carolina fan has wanted it to. And then the question becomes, can it be fixed? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel, or is it one of those situations where, Steve Spurrier even always said, once you kind of get to a decade at a place, Frank Martin's been at South Carolina 9 years. Once you get to a decade, sometimes, you sort of just have to restart. And I don't know if we're at that point yet, but we will certainly see. We'll certainly be tracking it on GamecockCentral.com and here on GC Live. But it's, I kind of look, man, I still tend to think, I don't know of a coach who has had more bad luck than Frank Martin in his time at South Carolina. So I don't know. We'll see. The next maybe week or so will possibly give us some more clarity on all this.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. So many factors. A lot of people are asking us here on the website. We've had several. I've gotten a gun to your head, what happens question. I've gotten a percentage question that I can recall. I know you fielded a bunch of questions about it, Wes. And it's just, not dodging the question, not trying to hedge bets. We just don't know. We got, for instance, to sort of draw a comparison here, or a contrast rather, when we got to the end of the Will Muschamp era, like we knew what was going to happen, right? It was more about when at one point, and we're not there yet with this. There's not an entirely clear direction because there's so many different factors pulling, whether it's financial considerations, it's coaching carousel, it's roster, it's can it turn around, will it, when? There's so many different things there that it's really difficult to tell. And so, like you said, man, today don't anticipate hearing anything on that unless there's some surprise that pops up, which I guess is always possible, but we don't anticipate that. But it's not an easy situation. It's a very difficult situation. Like you said, there's not an appetite for a buyout because of the financial position of the athletic department and the university. It's not going to be a completely normal fiscal year this year either. We don't really know what it's going to look like. So just a lot of unknowns there. So we'll stay on top of it and see which direction it goes, but we just don't know yet.
Let's see. Let's try to hit a couple more questions, maybe comments. Hope, what's up? What's up to everybody in the chat? Is this the Hope that is a big Gamecock fan on Twitter as well? I can't think of what your thing is on there, but if it is, Hope, I gotta say you've really been pushing that 107.5 YouTube, trying to get everybody to subscribe to it a lot, and I'm just not feeling the love for the Gamecock Central YouTube. So Hope USC won. Just saying,
yeah. Maybe
you can help us out getting people to subscribe to youtube.com/Gamecock Central as well. Let's see, Gamecock Russ, what's up, man? By the way, speaking of Gamecock Russ, put your new YouTube in the chat. I saw that on Twitter. Everybody can go subscribe to Gamecock Russ on YouTube as well. Patrick says, I don't think they should get rid of Martin. This year did suck, but I think he can fix it. And then Mark Smith. Mark is a big Gamecock Central subscriber. He's actually come out to some of our Gamecock Central kickoff parties before at Carolina Ale House. He wants to hear about some big uglies. Chris, what can you tell him about some O-line and some D-line that South Carolina is chasing?
Well, Mark is in great fortune today because we rolled a piece for subscribers.
Great fortune.
on our front page of GamecockCentral.com. So, Mark, check that out, too, for a little bit more. I'm like the speaker who, answers a question, but then he answers it by saying to go buy my book, and it'll tell you. No, but seriously, I will drop just this afternoon. South Carolina offered Curtis Neal, who's a 4-star defensive tackle out of the Charlotte area, Huff High School. So that's certainly a guy to watch. 6'2", 6'3", 305, 310 pounds. A guy that South Carolina really liked in terms of his spring tape, because obviously we talked about this, Wes. Guys from North Carolina, Virginia, some northern states, the Mid-Atlantic states, playing some high school football now. And so you've got another evaluation tool. And South Carolina liked what they saw early this season from Curtis Neal, went ahead and offered other names in that piece for Mark, but Felix Hickson out of Georgia, Jamari Lyons out of Florida. There's several guys. And then in terms of offensive line, some new offers went out recently, but Ryan Brubaker from up in Pennsylvania is a guy that we're certainly watching heavily, and several others. So we're going to continue running down some of those names and things like that. And we'll see what happens. Going to be interesting into this spring and the summer.
Hope says that she is going to push Gamecock Central now as well. Hope, we appreciate that. Y'all can follow Hope too. Hope USC1. Go find Gamecock Russ on YouTube. It is under, where'd it go? Rusty. Is that Rusty 25B? I believe it is. Or just search Gamecock Russ. And Jeremy Jones says he's going to subscribe to Gamecock Central with his stimulus check. So
Man.
I'll tell you what, since we have not been pushing this because we don't run, these codes at all times, but it seems like a good time to say it. Sign up today. Get your first year for $50. Use the code Gamecocks on Gamecock Central. That way you will not have to pay full price, Jeremy, if you come on board. It's just $50 for the first year. Let's see. We got any more comments, questions, concerns? Does not appear so. What are your final thoughts for the weekend, Chris?
Well, here's my thought: is you've got me a little fired up about the Longhorn Network. I was nice and calm before I came on here, little fired up. Admittedly, during the show, partially because I'm worried about it now, partially because I wanted to see if I could pass on some information. I have also been digging here and there for Longhorn Network info. It's a bad situation, man. It's really bad.
That's what I was telling you.
I know. But part of me, I believed you, but I was like, well, maybe Wes has missed something. I don't know. Sling TV looks like the only option, unless you call, like, I'm gonna get Spectrum, because like Spectrum and Uverse and all these places, I don't think they have free trials. You can call, and if you want to pay like $80 a month or whatever for a Spectrum or Uverse, maybe you can get Longhorn Network. But Sling is looking like the best option, Wes.
Well, and see, the Spectrum
is yours set up? Is it ready to go?
No. I mean, the Spectrum, even like, it's probably like the Spectrum $500 a month package. Like, I don't think it's on their just regular thing.
Yeah.
Like,
special Longhorn price.
Yeah. So all right. So it's the end of the show. So if you're expecting more actual insight or entertaining stuff, you can go ahead and just cut the show off because there's no more coming. Well, but since we're just hanging out. Do what, Chris?
Yeah, your takes on this are entertaining, so I think there will be more entertainment.
Okay, so Hope and Wesley Hodge say that Spectrum carries it and they added it this morning. Okay. Wesley, how much did they charge you to add it? That is what I want to know. Okay, $12. So $4 a game. Not bad. And you could share your login with us and we could all use it on I'm just kidding. But so apparently originally I looked at the fine print on Sling TV. Sling.tv is how you get to it. At the bottom, it has this and see, JEE says there's a list of providers that offer Longhorn Network. Yes, but the problem is most people here don't have those providers, or they don't have the package with those providers. So let's see. And yeah, Jay, we're on that. Sling TV, orange, then you add the sports extra. If you look at the bottom of Sling TV, their main webpage, it says there is a 7-day free trial for new subscribers. Even though if you like look on the big print, it's not something they are even advertising. Well, I went to sign up, right? Because I was going to test all this out so I could turn around and say, hey, this is the easiest way to do it. When I went to sign up, it literally would not go through. Like it said that I would be charged on March 19th, which is 7 days from now. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Well, so then I'm like, well, what is going on here? It was almost like they did away with the 7-day free trial today because it's the Longhorn Network. Like they don't want people to watch. I'm starting to wonder if it exists. So then literally I tried to hit subscribe. It wouldn't work. So I go back in and try to subscribe, and it's changed the date for the first charge, March 12th, which is today, obviously. Then I got another thing. So the guys at JB and Goldwater, they tagged me in something. Y'all hold on a second. If you are what am I on? What do I use? A Fire Stick. If you use a Fire Stick, or you have a Samsung Smart TV or an LG Smart TV or Windows 10, which I think most everybody that doesn't have Apple probably has Windows 10, and download the Sling app, you automatically get 3 days. So that's I pulled up the Sling app on my Fire Stick, and it did say 3-day free trial. Now, the warning I'm giving to people is that because I already tried to sign up earlier, I'm wondering when I put that email in, is it going to be like, oh, you're not a new subscriber? So you've got to make sure you've never used that login on Sling at any point in the history of life. And then you might be able to get a 3-day free trial with the Sling app. But make sure you add the sports package because, again, somebody on Gamecock Central said the sports package was not working with the free trial. But I have not experienced that. You know, I may just try to do this right now while we're talking. And
you
see.
Do it live? Put your up there?
Yeah. But, man, I do hope – we're having fun with it, goofing off. I hope people that want to see the game are able to find a way to get in because I thought it was going to be very, very simple, and it really has not been. And I assumed that it would kind of be tied in, kind of like SEC Network Plus, where it wouldn't be this big a deal to get it. But it's been – so Tommy says that on DirecTV he has it for channel 677. Tommy, what package do you have on DirecTV? That's what I wonder. But nah, what else you got to talk? I've got a blank screen on my Fire Stick app right now when I hit Sling TV. So
that doesn't sound great, Wes. So my suggestion was going to be, this is a little extreme.
Drive to Austin.
Find a flight to Austin. And if you can't get in the game, find a bar in Austin. And they may have the Longhorn Network, but we don't know if they do. They might not, even in Austin. Well, maybe Colin Taylor can give us a detailed report when he returns from Austin. Because I would think after he covers these games, Colin will need to go get more tacos and other things after the game. We'll get a full report on Longhorn Network availability in the actual city of Austin from Colin Taylor when he comes back. Now, I just looked, Wes. I don't feel great about people's chances of getting to Austin even on a flight before the game tonight. It's not looking good. Looks like a lot of the flights are tonight from Charlotte. Maybe Atlanta. You drive to Atlanta. Probably should leave now. Maybe you can hop a flight. Maybe you can catch some of the game.
By the way, I promised we wouldn't have anything noteworthy to finish the show, but we actually have a little bit of something noteworthy here.
There we go.
Just got an email. South Carolina spring practice schedule has been released. As expected, they will start March 20th. Spring game set for April 24th, also as expected. Practice dates, Chris, are set for March 20th, 23rd, 25th, 27th, 29th. Then April 1st, April 6th, that's my mom's birthday, April 8th, 10th, 13th, 15th, 17th, 20th, 22nd, and, of course, 24th, again, Garnet and Black spring game. All right, reading on air, not my strong suit here, but hang tight. This is for us, Chris. Members of the media will have an opportunity to watch the team stretch period and the first 3 periods of practice on March 20th, April 1st, April 15th, and April 17th. So we will get to tell the people a little bit about what we see for the first time, in almost a year? In a year.
Yeah. Yep.
That's exciting, right?
That's something. That is good. That's very noteworthy. Yeah, we'll be able to – still limited. It doesn't look like, unless I'm just completely skimming over it, I'm looking at the release just like you, reading on air. It looks like we're not going to get full practices, but we are going to be able to see stretch and first 3 periods of practice at some of the practices. Looks like we're going to see 4, 5, can't really count on there. 4 practices.
Yeah. Let's see. And then for people that like to watch press conferences, Shane Beamer will talk a lot, apparently. March 18th, Thursday. That's next Thursday, 1 p.m., spring practice preview. And then following practice on March 25th, April 1st, April 10th, April 17th, and after the spring game. Let's see, Marcus Satterfield and Clayton White will speak Monday, March 29th, and Tuesday, April 20th. And then the other assistant coaches will be spread out, and player availabilities will be spread out throughout the practices. Also, Pro Timing Day set for March 24th. At the indoor facility. More information will be announced at a later date. So, yeah, that's that. That's cool. It's here. I don't know, Chris, you got any thoughts on that, man?
So it looks like one question, and I apologize if you already said this, Wes, because we were both reading at the same time. Doesn't look like fans are allowed for spring practice dates, right?
Correct.
Just media, sort of limited. And I would guess, here's one immediate thought I have. Will this change a little bit in preseason? Maybe it will. You'd have to think that at least part of the thinking, and hey, why don't you let some fans in for spring practice? You probably still got the COVID situation looming. For instance, there was a note on here that media members, we're going to be outside, but we're supposed to still wear masks, et cetera, whether we're in the indoor or outside. So I think that's probably one reason why there's no fans available right now, or fans allowed in practices right now.
Yeah, and I will say one thing Chris and I have heard is that there is going to be a more concerted effort to let the fans, or make the fans feel more connected, if that makes sense, to the program. I think that was lost a little bit under the previous staff. They are still a little bit handcuffed, or not a little bit. They are still very handcuffed by everything with COVID. But, I think by the summer, and then you get into preseason, and then certainly next spring, I could see things being completely different as far as them being a little more open about letting people come out and maybe watch one practice at least and sort of see what the program's all about. Because I'm telling you, man, there was a certain vibe about going out there day one for practice, here in the Spurrier area. And there was a certain excitement. everybody, kind of just got – it was like a little appetizer almost for football season. And I think that matters, and I think that was lost. Just getting to be close to the players and see a practice up close and maybe start to learn a little bit about some of the newcomers. Yeah, they can read about it, they can hear about it, but just having a chance to go out there, reading and hearing about it doesn't match what it's like to go out there and see it.
Yeah.
So, I, for one, hope that comes back because I think it's better for everybody. I enjoy when the fan base is fired up. Our jobs are so much more fun when everybody's fired up, and I hope that'll be something we see, with the program in the not so distant future. All right, I think that's going to do it. We've run our mouths enough for this Free for All Friday. Appreciate y'all. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Chris, you got any big old plans this weekend, man?
Well, it appears that I'm going to spend the next several hours trying to somehow game the Sling TV system to be able to get the baseball games. So we will be watching some of that. Other than that, we're just going to be hanging out, enjoying this weather, man. Absolutely stunning in Columbia today. So that is a big part of my plans for this weekend.
Sweet. I actually, and they are not a sponsor. This is just somebody I'm going to mention. I'm going to go check out this new Savage Craft Ale Works spot in West Columbia.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You've heard?
I've heard about it. I have. I will be excited for your review, no doubt about it.
Apparently, it's really cool.
Yeah.
They've got indoor. They've got an outdoor big old area where you can go out there and spread out. They've got a rooftop area that's apparently pretty cool. I've heard their selection right now is sort of still growing. It's kind of limited to start off. They're a brand new facility, but I'm going to go check it out. So if anybody else is out there, come say what's up. And otherwise, everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the game if you can watch it. If not, listen to it on 107.5 or come check out Colin Taylor's great coverage on GamecockCentral.com. For Chris, I'm Wes. I will see you all on Monday.